Matteo Fuentes ushered Angelina out the back door of their house in the Garden District with enough showiness to give her a heads up that something unusual was going on. When she saw what was outside, Angelina's plush lips curved in a smirk, and she glared at him before a radiant smile spread over her face for the benefit of the crowd of 50 or so people filling their backyard. He had invited folks over to celebrate their anniversary. "Surprise!" Matteo joined the outcry. "What did you do?" Angelina asked, laughing. But he felt the fine tremor of her hand when he laced his fingers through hers. "Please, baby, keep it together," Matteo channeled. If she got the telepathic message, the only indication was a lifted brow and more teeth bared in a smile that didn't reach her eyes. One thing he knew, his wife, the psychiatrist, understood how important appearance was. Matteo could count on Angelina to stick to the script. "I wanted the whole world to see how much you mean to me. Of course, I couldn't fit the whole world in our yard, so this will have to do," he said, chuckling. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the celebration of 5 years and counting with my wife, the lovely Dr. Angelina Fuentes." His comment was met with applause, whistles, and catcalls. "Congratulations," someone hooted. Angelina shook her hand free from Matteo's and flowed down the stone steps of the house to meet and greet her guests. She was grace and class embodied, dressed in a yellow silk pantsuit that tastefully showed off her svelte figure. Matteo knew they were a mismatched pair, not because he wasn't in her league, because he had a wandering eye and a roaming spirit, while she was steadfast. She had caught him cheating again. This time with the woman he had picked up on a business trip, which he considered more a fling than an affair. Angelina, however, wasn't interested in that kind of nuance. He shifted his weight from one foot to the other and lounged against the exterior wall of the house, out of sight and out of mind. She was, and always had been, the real star of the show. He could walk into a space with commanding authority, but she stopped the world, judging by the response of the awestruck upper echelon guests he had called over at the last minute. The party to make amends had cost a fortune. He had hired decorators for an enchanted forest theme and a length of tulle lace with fairy lights zigzagged overhead. Exotic flowers had been overnighted to add to the lush backyard, which brought the bees dancing from blossom to blossom. He swatted at one buzzing near his ear. "Mr. Fuentes?" Matteo turned, eyebrow raised, and he accepted a flute of champagne from a tuxedo server. "Thank you." "My pleasure, sir." The event was catered by an award-winning chef from a 4-star restaurant, complete with a sumptuous banquet table, a magnolia-shaped ice sculpture as its centerpiece. The food and decor, however, were outshone by the star-studded guest list of local celebrities, famous athletes, and a few low-level politicians, all gilded in their finest. A glance around showed Matteo the event was shaping up to be a success. This extravagant display was a gesture of apology for betraying Angelina's trust, and he had one more trick up his sleeve if none of this worked. He strolled from the safety of the shadows to Angelina's side and placed his fingertips to her lower back. When she didn't pull away, he took it as a good sign. "May I have you for a moment?" he whispered. Their eyes locked, and he caught a scent of her magnolia and honey perfume. Matteo inhaled deeper. "Always a pleasure talking to you, Mrs. Manchester, but it seems my husband wants my attention." She softly excused herself from the conversation she was having with their gray-haired neighbor and let him lead her away. Smiling, he threaded his fingers through hers. "Are you enjoying yourself?" he asked. The live band struck up an energetic jazz tune. Angelina cocked her head to the side and peered at him quizzically. "Am I supposed to be?" "I was under the impression you did this for you." She gestured to their gazebo, where they could talk in private. His smile wavered and he sighed. "I did this to show my gorgeous wife that I'm not ready to end this. I know I've given you every reason, but you can't leave me, Angel." "You think a party absolves you of infidelity, Matteo?" "Better yet, you think I'm going to divorce you." She bit off a laugh. People glanced their way and Angelina rolled her eyes, but she kept her smile in place. "You're adorable, baby, honestly," she replied as she sat on the bench of the gazebo and crossed her legs. Matteo folded his tall frame next to hers with dark haunted eyes scanning her face. In fact, he didn't know what she would do. He was letting her know divorce wasn't an option. "Mi esposa, I heard you on the phone with your mother," he murmured quietly, looking down. "Then you know she told me I should stay with you." "How do you think it made me feel to hear you asking to go home in the first place?" A throaty laugh escaped her sultry lips. "Surely no worse than I felt when your floozy called this house to thank you for paying for her flight home." A hard edge underscored the words. Matteo opened his mouth to ask for forgiveness, but shut it without speaking, knowing he didn't have the right. He licked his lips and tried again. "I can be the man you deserve, Angelina. The way you were raised, Matteo, this is normal for you. I don't think you know how to be married. I know that I love you. I know if you give me another chance, I'm ready to turn over a new leaf. Look, despite my flaws, I have always been here for you, and I'm still here." Angel's chin shook. She spoke slowly, picking her way through her words. "That's the reason I don't understand why you keep doing this to me. This is the second time, Matteo. As a psychiatrist, one would think I'd do a better job of figuring out what you need, but you don't cheat because you're missing something at home. You cheat because you just don't give a damn." "I do care, baby." He swept her silky black hair from her face. His hand lingered on her cheek, and he saw a hint of the hopeless romantic he had married lurking beneath the stoic, pragmatic woman his actions over time had caused her to become. "Remember Smokey Robinson playing at the reception after we got married? It was the first song we danced to." She gently shook her face free. "To say you're Puerto Rican, you sure can't dance," she smiled wistfully. Matteo slid off the bench and kneeled down on one knee in front of her. Guests turned in their direction just as Matteo manifested a velvet ring box from his coat pocket and slowly opened it so Angelina could see the oversized diamond. She gasped in shock. "I haven't been the man people believed me to be. They think I'm noble and honorable, a good man. I can only strive to be that, and only if I have my better half. Angelina Monique Fuentes, will you remarry me?" Her eyes glistened with sudden tears as her gaze flitted over their audience before returning to her husband. Matteo could tell he had really surprised her this time. He had confessed his sins and was asking for forgiveness in front of God and everyone. In spite of everything, he hoped she saw the good in him. "Yes," she whispered. She always did what she had to do, but he hoped her response wasn't out of obligation. Some part of her had to love him enough to give him another chance, and maybe he was ready. This could be the dawning of the golden age of their relationship. Maybe. While the onlookers erupted with excitement and cheer, Matteo rose to his feet, ducked his head with tears in his eyes, and whispered quietly into her ear, "I mean it, baby. I'm gonna make up for everything I've done to you." A few months later, they remarried in a little white church in an understated ceremony. And after the renewal of vows and the cutting of cake, a professional photographer took a dazzling array of pictures of the new Mr. and Mrs. Fuentes. For a while, they were happy. Matteo and Angelina framed the photographs and hung them in the luxurious formal living room of their multi-million-dollar house in their exclusive neighborhood. They went about their regular business. She continued as a psychiatrist at the hospital, and he kept developing affordable housing outside their affluent area, and the pictures collected dust. They could have gone on like this forever, not merely complacent, but almost happy. Except something unnameable was missing for them both.